All right, all right. So I think we are live already. Hello, well, welcome, good evening, everyone, to EnglishYaari YouTube live session. It feels amazing to see the audience who have turned up right on time, about whom I'm quite certain that you all must be excited for today. I want to give a big shout out to each and every one of you who have joined us live. Whether you're turning in from India or overseas, it's fantastic to have you here. So I would definitely pick up. There are people who might have started to write. Okay. So yes, my name is Vaishali, and I'm delighted to have you all here with me today. So to the ones who have not joined us, who have joined for the first time, English Diary goes live every Sunday to take the interest and address queries put forward by viewers and subscribers aboard. So it's the case for today too. So I am having great things lined up for today. However, I'm anticipating a bundlesome response throughout the session. I request you all to be active in the chat box if you have any doubts and queries. Feel free to drop in the YouTube chat. We are here to help. We'll do our best to answer the questions, right, Mr. Madhav? So, to give the
Absolutely.
selection and advice to assist you throughout the stream, your participation will make this live stream more engaging and valuable for everyone. So, let's
Sure.
just make the session interactive and informative together. So, are we excited all?
I am. I definitely am.
Hello, Mr. Sufirani. Hello, good evening. Sir, I think might be your students who are saying good evening, sir.
Good evening, my dear friends. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, aspirants of public speaking and the art of oratory. And welcome. Welcome from my end, from Vaishali's end, from English Yaari's end, from everyone who is excited to be here.
Right. So if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from us. And for those who have been with us, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being a part of this incredible journey so far. Well, without further ado, let's dive into the topic which was most asked by the students, the learners, to our experts, and of course, most searched on YouTube, I must say. So today we have brought you the topic how to master public speaking with our experts at English Yaari. Whether it's conquering stage fright to crafting compelling speeches, we will explore the strategies and also the insights that can elevate your speaking prowess. So let the learning begin. And for that, we have our expert speaker and mentor from English Ed platform, who is known for his exceptional way and teaching strategies for oratory, public speaking, English fluency. None other than Mr. Madhav Anand. A very warm welcome, Mr. Madhav.
Thank you, Vaishali. Thank you. I'm already humbled with those words for me. I kind of take a backseat whenever someone is praising me. I feel like, oh my God, how can I take this really? But anyway, I thank you for that. And I thank everyone for being here. I'm sure people are joining in and joining fast. There's so
Definitely.
many people. There's Sufi Rani, there's Priyanka, there's Madhu, there's Ajita, and there's so many others. I'm sorry if I'm missing out any names, but welcome once again. I know it's a repeat, but I'm just so excited that I can't control it. Welcoming you guys. Yes. So, what are we gonna do here today, Vaishali? Any ideas? Would you like to share with the audience?
Definitely. So we are going to unlock their full potential on the stage, of course, with our very expert, Mr. Madhav. So let's do this. So as we are diving into the art of public speaking and how to become a confident, impactful speaker, Mr. Madhav is here to give us the inspiration and guide us to what will be the first step. So before going ahead, Mr. Madhav, there's just one question which I would like to start, of course, to set the
Sure.
tone for the entire session for today. So,
Sure.
what maybe inspired you to become an expert in this field? This is the one thing which I would definitely ask in the beginning.
Should I be honest right away, Vaishali, and to everyone else in the chat?
I think, yes,
Frustrated with
absolutely.
my corporate job. That's what made me become a teacher, a tutor, a public speaker. I was always someone who had a bit of a, like, and I can say a little bit of talent, I would say, to not sound arrogant and still be humble, keep myself humble. A bit of a desire, not even talent, a curiosity like how does Ravi Shastri really speak so well? How does Harsha Bhogle, without being a cricketer, commentate so well? Right? These were the initial triggers or motivations that in my childhood. Back in the days, it was just DD National, so that's what made me get started with it. But gradually, as you go to school, college, you get into debating, group discussions, extemporaries, and all of that, anchoring, stage hosting. So that gives you a little bit of chance to experience that. And once you fall in love with it, it is love for life. There's no getting away with that. So yes, as I said, as I moved away from my corporate life, I wanted to do something on my own, and I found that speaking, tutoring, English fluency are my areas of forte. So that's how I'm here, in the shortest possible answer.
Very well said. I think, of course, everybody of us is excited and looking forward to the session, which will be, of course, I think the value centric session from your end. We will be
Yeah,
getting so much learning from your end. Of course, you are our very mentor on the English Yaari, and of course, with your entire robust experience, you're going to delve into the understandings. How can we take it further? So I just want to, ask the very question to the audience. Very first thing first, that of course all of you, the audience who have somehow gathered their time period for this short span of time of 45 to 1 hour which they have delved into, they would like to know that what will be the tips and tricks for English, or let's say the an expertise to go on the stage and start the very first thing, how to be, the person who can be an expert as a finesse to start off their career maybe as a public speaker. But before that, can you please write in the chat box, dear learners, if you are interested to know how can the public speaking be an art for you to start their career, or maybe, have this one thing in your hand as a skill set? Can I have a yes or a no from the learners that do you want or do you wish to become public speaker? Have you ever thought about public speaking in once your lifetime? So I think this is the best opportunity for them to learn from our expert.
sure.
All right, all right. I can see so many good responses.
Yes, yes, there are. I think Priyanka Kataria says some people have a lot of knowledge, but still they are not able to speak in front of audience. Bang on, Priyanka. Bang on. Like this comes as a regular when so many students come to our classes, sessions. They have this thing that I know everything. Technically, I am the best, probably. But when it comes to presenting myself, speaking in front of an audience, in the boardrooms, in front of my boss, I shiver. I don't know. I tremble. I just get tongue tied. All these things happen to all of us. So yes, as Vaishali mentioned, whoever whoever ever thought that they really want to become a public speaker but never could find the ways, raise your hand. People, this is your chance today, and this is also our chance to learn from you, right? Every expert is also a learner, all of us, Vaishali and me included. Yeah. So whoever wants to express that experience, that yes, I always wanted to but I never got an opportunity, or yes, I already always had an opportunity, mention that as well. Say yes or no. Let's look at the comment box. I have confidence. Language is poor, says Abhi. Seema says, I want to grab this opportunity. How many months and year are required to be fluent English? Asks Shiva Prasad. Okay, let me answer that question first of all. Why? It depends from person to person, Shiva. It really depends on where you currently stand. Did you ever have an opportunity to go to the
Hmm.
stage, speak in front of
Right.
people, or you're just beginning today? It will really depend on where you currently stand, right? To answer that question in short, but yes, definitely mentoring and coaching comes into play. That's the variable that you can always trust. If this is going to take you 1 year without mentoring and coaching, with mentoring it can be cut short to 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, like depends. But yeah, that's the answer.
So there's another question. I think I am able to see in the chat box, Mr. Madhav, that people say that I lack confidence. Language is
Hmm.
poor. How
Yeah.
can I somehow, speak with proper knowledge, of course, in front of the audience? And somehow, some people have knowledge, but they're still not able to speak further in front of the audience. How could they cater to audience interests? So, what would you have to say about this? Could you just, somehow help us to what
Let's
should be
dive
your
into
tips
the.
and tricks?
Yeah, sorry, Vaishali, sorry to cut you off. I just got too excited. So about the question. So the answer lies in the session ahead, right? So let's dive into the session. Let's cover a couple of modules. I'm sure answers will start coming in, right? It'll start coming through, and I'm sure the audience will enjoy it. So let's start with the basics. Dear audience, first tell me, what do you understand by oratory or public speaking? Oratory is basically the art of speaking. Public speaking, as you understand, is art of effective oral speeches with an audience. Now that audience can be a group of friends. That audience can be you as a speaker in front of a huge assemblage of 1,000 people. Depends completely. But if you are in public, even it could be a home setting as well, but if there are a number of people in front of you and you are the speaker, you are speaking in public. As simple as that. There's no complication around that. Now, what I can promise you, I mean, sidetrack, what I can promise you is that if you take notes from today, I'm sure by the end of this session, you will be loaded with value bombs. And I'll keep dropping one or two here and there, like some names of important books that can help you. So do take notes. Don't scroll to Instagram reels while watching this, right? Even if it gets a little boring, we'll try not to make it boring. But still, stay connected and concentrations on fire. All right. So as I said, it is nothing but speaking in public whenever you are the speaker and others are listening. It could be formal, it could be informal.
So, Mr. Madhav, want to just drop in this one question which is on my mind. Of course, initially when I
Uh-huh.
started off on as a public speaker, of course, that was the first time. I was in grade third. I was about to experience that very nervousness,
Hmm.
sweating in the hands, and I had to somehow think in rightly what should be the very
Hmm.
first thing which I should start off as a speaker. So according to you, of course, I would like to take in from your understanding and the expertise that what should be that very first statement which a
Hmm.
person can start off the entire public speaking. But before that, I
Hmm.
have this question for all of the viewers and the learners who have joined us, that I
Hmm.
would ask it from you, that what was the very first thing in your mind? If I have to start off public speaking, what would you speak up? If you can somehow jot down in the chat box, would be lovely. It would be lovely
Yes.
because I think that would be really helpful for us. What would be the first word which you would like to start if given a chance to be on the stage?
Hmm.
Yes, I can see responses being jotted down. So, Mr. Madhav, the stage is all yours. Please help us. What should be the very first statement, or let's say the initial statement, which can help us to become a great public speaker?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that. But first, appreciation for the audience for charging up the comment box. It's literally on fire sometimes, right? I'm
Yeah.
sometimes not able to scroll the number of comments that are there. So yes, to answer your question,
There.
Vaishali, yeah, to answer your question, Vaishali, there's no fixed process to that. There's no fixed answer to that. But again, there are some fixtures. Like starting out with a smile is wonderful even before you speak. Correct.
Right.
Let's look at both of us. Even before the audience was here, both of us were all smiles, happy and voila, right?
Absolutely.
Reason is
Absolutely.
that whether you are going through the hells of your life or not, if you are there to do a job, do it very well, do it as good as possible, and that starts with a smile. People are here to have fun, entertainment, education, infotainment, whatever, but that is never minusing your smile. Be
Mhm.
presentable, first of all. Second,
Okay.
you can always be respectful towards your audience. So whether you say a
Mhm.
namaste or a good morning absolutely depends on what kind of audience you have, what kind of occasion it is. But greeting the audience is always a good way of doing it. Now there are new ways of doing that. You directly ask a question like, "Hey,
Mhm.
everyone, what do you think is stopping you from becoming a public speaker?" Yes, it is acceptable, depending if you can carry it through without sounding arrogant, without sounding insensitive towards them. You cannot look callous while having good intentions, right? You may be a callous person on the hindsight, but look
Right.
as if you're presentable or respectful. So respect, greeting are always appreciated and also advised. Yeah, that's how you can start, and then you can obviously take questions if there are any in the beginning, so that you would answer them at the end. Like, so that's a smart tactic, so you know what the audience desires from you, taking questions in
Absolutely.
the beginning, or you can
Mhm.
simply jump to the topic after greeting. But
Okay.
do not stretch it too far, because people want their questions to be heard. So sometimes you'll have to leave a couple of minutes for them to have their questions. Normally people want to do it at last, but everyone is exhausted at last, right? That's why we are doing these sessions where people are putting out their comments right at the beginning. It's a smarter way to deal your own energy as well as keep up their energy intact. Makes sense, Vaishali, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely make every word you have spoken so far is going to make sense to all of the learners. But I would like to take in these questions, Mr. Madhav, that there are certain moments of the nervousness when they are on the stage.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
feel sweaty palms and they go blank sometimes. Somehow they are speechless. And of course, there are some people who are writing down Mr. Naveen Shastri and also Miss Priyanka and
Yes.
New Learning, Naveen Shastri. Again, all of these people are saying that we would like to start off with introduction. There is this
Hmm.
one lovely thing which I have used in my public speaking all this career, all this lifetime, was what has been spoken by Mr. Prashant. He has written that starting with the motivational quote. So, what did you have to think, or maybe tell us, all us, about how would be the very first thing? How could they start up if they go blank? What could be their rescue? How could they somehow, move out of that situation and start off as a first thing when they go
Yeah.
blank?
Yes. So first, let's understand why we go blank. Instead of directly addressing the answer, I mean the question that how to come out of it, let's first go to the root cause. Going blank is not your choice. It happens to your nervous system. So we would cover that when we talk about fear and how to get rid of fear. But let's get to understand a bit of an introduction to that. It's not in your control. Your nervous system is something that can be trained. For example, Naveen Shastri has spoken that addressing the audience is really important. So when you're
Right.
addressing and you are going blank, you don't know what's happening. It's like fainting. If that is happening, like you mentioned, these physical manifestations, sweaty palms, or your earlobes are getting warm, or you're feeling a lot of intense heartbeat, these are not in your control. What do you do about it? One, I'm actually answering from the module which I was supposed to cover, but anyway, it's an important thing to be covered, so let's do it first. One is that know that no, you're not going to die. Correct.
Hmm.
Know that fear is the most natural outcome of being in an uncomfortable position. Whether you're learning to drive a car or addressing an audience, or you were suddenly asked to play dumb charade in front of your own informal wedding. I mean, informal party guest, party of the sorry guests at the party, right? This is what happens to all of us. We stammer stutter sometimes. So first thing is that know that you're not going to die. Think of the worst case scenario. Okay, what is going to happen? All this fear that I'm going through, what is really going to happen? Am I going to jail? Am I going to lose money? Am I going to lose my girlfriend? Am I going to go through a divorce because of this? No, nothing of that sort is going to happen. So first of all, reassuring yourself that okay, I'm feeling afraid, I'm feeling the fear, but it is going to end. It's not going to harm me anyway. Number one, affirmation to yourself, reaffirming yourself.
Right.
Number two, all these things cannot be won over in one session. You know that you have to do this again and again because you're training your nervous system and your brain to those similar scenarios. You may be afraid for the first time, second time, third time, but how many times are you going to be afraid? It's so scientific that if your neural networks, if your neurology, entire nervous system is made to go through the same thing again and again, you don't feel the same excitement. You don't feel the same
True.
excitement about your love affair. You had it for the first time, but by the time to the second time, you were done with that excitement, right? You will be done with the fear also. When you're
Right.
when you're experiencing the same thing again and again, you will be done with that fear also. But there are some tricks and tips also. For example, there's a thing called 6 seconds pause. It's a scientific. You can Google it as well. What is a 6 seconds
Mhm.
pause? Basically, when you are starting out, if you have at least 6 to 10 seconds, relax yourself with deep breathing. When you breathe deeply, more oxygen is infused into your blood system. When more and more oxygen goes into your blood system, it relaxes your nervous system comparatively. You may not feel it instantly, but by the time you're on stage or you're speaking or you're addressing, you will see that there is a marginal difference. Sometimes it can play a major role. It will not at least go make you go blacked out, right? At least that will be well taken care of. Okay.
Right.
So I think
And also,
Seema
I
should
can,
right. Okay.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely, Seema. Yeah.
So, sir, I think you have cracked that, couple of things in your humor with the idea of putting that very energy into the entire conversation and the narratives.
Sure.
So, no one's going to kill you is one statement. I think it is going to be, of course, taken away by the learners during your sessions also.
Mhm.
And also, I think Miss Priyanka has written it. Also, there are some, certain things being posted by the learners and the viewers that
Okay.
Ms. Priyanka has written that lack of preparation, fear of judgment,
Hmm.
uncertainty, absolutely, it could be due to
Yeah.
nervousness, of
Yes.
course.
Yes. Yes.
And I can see the new learning business case studies. Okay, so they have written energetic body language is one thing which can help up. I think you will all
Yes.
agree to that, right?
Yes. Yes. Of course. We're gonna
And
cover
of
body
course,
language. Who is it coming from? New learning business case studies. Yes. I'm
right.
sure. You know. I'm sure whatever you have written over there, that energetic body language is important. We'll cover that. We'll cover that new learning. We'll cover that. No
So I
worries
think there's
about
a question I think I have for all the learners and viewers who have joined us. It's
it.
going to be either yes or no. So definitely you are going to jot down very
Yeah,
quickly about this one question, which I'm going to put it forward. That
yeah,
of course there had been times which everybody would have thought, oh, this session is going boring. This speaker is not fine on the
yeah.
stage. When they listen out to marvelous speakers, when they somehow extend to certain extent,
Hmm.
sometimes we do feel that okay, his content was really well prepared, however
Yeah,
it turned out to be very boring. So I think
right.
everybody must would be somehow looking out for that, a kick. How can we somehow prepare the topic? How can we somehow deliver the topic in such a manner that the audience should be at rest, and
Yeah,
also the entire session doesn't go boring? So what is
right,
your major pick, Mr. Madhav? We would like to learn it from you. Also, I would like to have it from the viewers. Please let me
right,
know if you are also somehow facing this kind of issues while you're someone listening to good, marvelous orators.
right.
Yes. So
Yes.
Miss Priyanka
Preparation.
is very proactive. She's writing, true, ma'am. Yes. So please, Miss Madhav, go ahead. Let me know.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
how can we make session engaging?
Yeah, absolutely relevant question, Vaishali. Absolutely relevant. Let's first understand that what preparation looks like. Preparation is nothing but understanding your own purpose behind what you're doing, why you're doing. Right? Like Simon Sinek says, start with why. The famous speaker, leader, business communication leader, Simon Sinek.
Right.
Why are you doing what you're doing? Right? Whenever we know that we have to do something about it because there is a bigger purpose, there is more clarity. Correct?
Right.
Unless that clarity is there, you're only going to do things just to pacify your audience or help your own ego, right? So let's understand that the purpose is beyond the preparation. Preparation comes definitely second, but first comes purpose. Now, how to prepare? Okay. Can we just go to that when we do that session? I mean, when we do that module, so that we can do it in a more
Sure.
elaborate way, right?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
all right. So, I have one value bomb for you people, and we will do some activities as well, like some question answer activity. If you guys are interested, I'm sure you are. I don't have to doubt that. The first value bomb is the name of this book is called. Any guesses? Dale Carnegie. It is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now,
Wow. I
why
really
I would
want to know.
suggest such a common book? Yeah, Vaishali, I would suggest such a common book because sometimes you read things just because it has been suggested by someone, maybe Instagram, correct?
True.
But when you
True.
go through a session like this, like a masterclass like this, you get more insights into it. I'll give you an example. When I was working with a corporate entity, we had a session on leadership, and they showed us this movie called Chak De India. And I had watched that movie already, maybe twice. I was like, oh, why am I repeating this? But when the questions were thrown at us regarding Chak De India, in lieu of leadership, it completely changed the way we looked at that film. So after
Mm.
this session, when you read the same book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's going to change the way you look at that book. So that's why. That's the first value bomb. Okay. I'll come to your answer again, Vaishali, but let's first drop a question for the audience. Okay.
Sure.
The
Sure. Do
question
you
for the
have
audience.
anything very interesting for the audience? Expert is going to give a question. So are we all ready? I think viewers are
Absolutely.
ready. So I think they are very much excited. And I can see the excitement all over
Right.
again. Miss Priyanka,
Right.
Miss Sufi Rani, and
Yeah.
Naveen Shastri, Prashant. They are very energetic and agile viewers. They are dropping in, jotting down the answers as and when the question is coming. So if you can somehow drop a
Yeah.
question for them, would be lovely.
Yeah, question is simple. Did you ever get an opportunity to face or speak in front of an audience or speak to an audience? Comment in one or two words so that everyone gets a chance to be read, right? Whether it was a wedding party, whether it was Ganpati Visarjan, whether it was a workshop, seminar, if at all you had an opportunity to face or speak to an audience, tell us about it in maybe one, two, three words if you can. Let's get the comment section buzzing. Let's see what's happening over there.
I think all of them would agree to this another thing, Mr.
Hmm.
Anand, that
Yeah.
whenever we are somehow trying to speak, I did this. I used to record it on phone, either to the voice recording, and I
Uh,
used to listen it out later. But
hmm.
the way the voice turned up, was not something very amusing for me, honestly, and for
Right.
neither for my ears, because I
Right.
absolutely hated the way my voice would have come from the recorder. So initially, I thought it
Hmm.
was just a phone of mine, or maybe I tried to somehow, gather a little bit of more phones from my family, and I used to somehow try that somehow this phone is better, or maybe
Hmm.
that phone is better. Somehow the sign would be better. But anyway, at the end, I would
Right.
give out to the conclusion that my voice is not
Yes.
something very much good to my ears.
Hmm.
So I think they must be
Yes.
facing the similar difficulty. Have you all done that? Viewers, please, I want to hear from you. Have you all done this one thing, recording the video, how you speak, maybe stand in front of the mirror, maybe record it somehow, the voice note, and send it to a
Hmm.
friend, right? I think everybody would have agreed to this very point that one odd day must would have been there. They would have tried to record somehow or the other the voice notes, what they have prepared for the next event, or
Yes,
maybe the
I get it.
preparing for.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's what happens to all of us, probably. That we want to sound cool, but then we feel like, oh, I'm not that cool. Okay, let's take some comments here, Vaishali. So the
Sure, sir.
previous question was, when did our audience get an opportunity? Someone says in school. Seema says in
School.
school, and Naveen Shastri says everyday meetings. Sufi Rani says, yes, I was in school. It was a terrible experience.
Horrible.
We can absolutely. Prashant says in my college freshers party.
Precious.
Shruti Bhagat says meeting. Priyanka Kataria says opportunity I had when I cleared the exam. Okay, right? Okay. Arushi says gut session. Okay. Okay, good session. I think that's what she wants to say.
Okay,
I still remember
yeah.
my first day at new school and introducing was horrible. We can relate, Naveen. Absolutely relatable. We have been there, done that. So no surprises here. But thanks for sharing, everyone. It's so good to see that you are able to relate to this question that we've just asked. Right. Okay. Going back, Vaishali, to what you just spoke, that our voices and we feel horrible about it. We feel like, do I really sound this bad? I thought I was better. I thought
True,
I'm
true,
a good speaker.
absolutely.
I thought I'm really a good speaker. And then you record yourself, and it's like, I want to use a Hindi phrase here. I'm sorry about people who don't understand. We use this, "Tu rehne de bhai, tujhse na ho payega," right? That's what we feel about ourselves, right? But the thing is that it's not true. We are all self-conscious when it comes to presenting ourselves. We have our own insecurities. What's my height? What's my body weight? What's my hair type? What's my skin color? Okay, like I could have my own insecurities. Vaishali could have her own insecurities. So our insecurities play out in our head in a snowball form. They look bigger than they really are. No one has a voice of Lata Mangeshkar. I mean, how many people are good singers actually? Like none of us are basically, right? We grace our bathrooms. That's a different thing. But then none of us are really blessed with any good or
Right.
great voice. It's just that we are too much into our heads thinking about it, right?
Hmm.
Break the barriers with Kamaljeet says, chief guest at my daughter's school. Oh, wonderful. At least you were a chief guest. So you had an opportunity. So
Yes.
you're already there,
I,
but I'm sure you can do
yes.
better, Kamaljeet.
And I think
Yeah.
I read one another comment. Miss Priyanka has written that she was the guest at chief guest, and Mr. Navi Shastri has written. I still remember first day at new school introduction was horrible. Again, I think school introduction had been horrible all this while because we haven't
Mhm.
been provided with the chance and opportunity for
Yeah.
learning. I think I can somehow help you with that. Of course, English Eye platform is there for getting the right mentorship because, of
Right.
course, they are providing public speaking, British English, or let's say how to articulate, how to use the proper pronunciation, how to somehow get a hang of English language. So English Eye
Hmm.
platform is there for help and support. And what could be better than mentors like Mr. Madhavan? And of course, I'm also somehow giving my
And
mentorship role
Vaishali.
out there.
And Vaishali.
Right,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
right.
All right.
So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Miss
yeah. Please
Abhi has
continue.
also written, yes, I've got a chance in a workspace but failed due to poor English. Okay, all right. People have had good learning experiences, I would say. I would not say it's a poor English, or let's say, somehow people are taking
Hmm.
that as a star experiences. I would say I would
Yes.
take it as a learning experience altogether. So,
Right.
Cynthia, as I said, excited to explore new era of learning. So, with starting off with you from the way we have to resume, where we were speaking about, tell us about your
Yes.
learning experience all this while, Mr. Madhav,
Right.
that how
So,
was your somehow action plan regarding becoming a
yes.
speaker, and
Yes.
how have you been able to ace this
Yeah.
platform, like if you're on the stage, how were you able to ace the entire the speech or the oratory?
Right, perfect. So I'll start with, why it is so important, first of all. So what is the significance of oratory or public speaking? I'll go a little fast. I'm sorry, audience. Maybe we are running a little short of time, but anyway, I'll not try to shove it, but a little faster. So let's first understand that the significance in oratory and public speaking in life is non-existent. You don't need to become one. It is not oxygen. You're not going to die without it. But let's look at it like this. How about not having petrol, or how about not having a car, or how about not having internet? Our lives have gotten better with better tools. Public speaking is something like that. It's a better tool. If you have it, you have a ton of edge over others. Like you all of have mentioned, whether you're at a parent teacher meeting, whether in a meeting in your office, whether you are speaking to an audience in front of a wedding party, whatever it may be. If you are, remember that one guy when you're traveling in a train and he has stories to tell, and that entire day is listening to that guy. He's got nothing to
True,
gain
true.
out of it, but everyone's attention is on him. At least he feels good about that 2 hour or 5 hour journey he's in, isn't it? So it's not that you cannot survive without it. You don't need it, but having it is a great tool to have, right? That's why it's important. It's significant. Now, coming to where exactly can this be used? Everywhere, wherever you need to have influence, wherever you want to be intervening. Let's say you're a corporate manager, a leader. If there is a clash happening between your team members, you cannot be the aggressor there. You cannot let the thing aggravate. You have to be intervening and pacifying the entire situation. You need speaking skills, particularly public speaking skills. Educate.
Yeah.
I'm an educator. Vaishali is an educator. We need public speaking skills to be able to teach to others. That includes you too. If you are teaching your children and there are 2 3 sitting in front of you, you got to have that skill. How you going to control their minds and still have the lesson delivered? Because children are fickle. They keep on going here and there. Selling, most important. If you are a seller, marketer, sales guy, even if you are the director of sales, you got to have public speaking skills. You cannot survive in that industry without that, right? So there are so many aspects to it. There's no end to it. Okay. Now,
So,
let's go to next
I
question. Yeah, yeah, yes, Vaishali,
Yeah,
you're saying something.
absolutely. So, Mr. Madhav, I think there are so many people who are trying to relate with whatever we are somehow sharing as an anecdote, or maybe any word which we are able to make a contrast of from the past times. I think everyone
Hmm.
is able to understand that in the school days, we were never given a chance. Of course, we belong to an
Yes.
era where virtual
Mm.
learning was not something, and we were not
Yes.
even having a hang of it very soon. Only after COVID, it was possible for us to learn how
Mm.
to use the platform very well.
Correct.
So I think these days virtual platforms are there to speak, but again, the platform in public with the audience. I think I should start from there, that how we can somehow make
Hmm.
something significant as a form of strict script or something that can
Hmm.
help us how to plan the entire speech and how to
Yep.
deliver it. What could be
Yes.
the tips and tricks to somehow plan it, like to chalk out a plan and then further present it in
Yeah.
front of the public?
Structuring the speech, structuring your deliberation, just structuring your entire delivery plan. Yes, Vaishali, that's the question, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is the one.
Sure.
This one question.
Right.
See, I wasn't able to structure it well. So if I wasn't able to structure it well, how can the
Yeah.
audience be able to speak? So of course, my audience was Mr. R. Madhav, and of course, all the viewers who are able to understand what I'm
Right.
trying to somehow get out of Mr. Madhavan. So please tell me, Mr. Madhavan, what you have to speak. How can we structure the entire
Yes.
speech?
We'll go to the structure right away. But first, there's a question for the audience, an engaging question. Yes, my dear friends in the audience, ready for that question? Okay. I'll go to answer Vaishali's question, but here's a question for you first. Let's get the comment section buzzing, people. Okay. Question for you is, what myths, right? Every one of us have some heard something about public speaking or something about something else. There are myths, there are rumors, there are stereotypes that we have in our mind. First question is, what myth have you always believed to be true regarding public speaking, right? For example, I'll give you some examples, right? I'll make it easy for you. That English is very important to become a public speaker. Number one. Number two, you really have to be born with the skill. Unless you're born with the skill of a speaker, you can't become a good speaker. Number three, well, I'm just a regular guy going to office, going to college. I'm really not someone like a leader. I'm not a politician. I don't have a scope to use public speaking, so I don't need it. So these are three myths. English, being born with the skill, and I don't need it really. What skill has been I mean, what myth has been on your head for a very long time? Let me bust it today, and then I'll go to the answer of Vaishali's question. First is that, is English important? I would say yes, if you're speaking to exclusively an audience that doesn't understand English. And I'm sure if you are speaking to an audience that doesn't understand English, I mean, that understands English and you're good with your English language, only then you would speak. Otherwise, you would not even try to be speaking there. Now,
Absolutely.
if you're in Japan or if you're in a village in India, how many people are going to speak in English or understand English? Because let's say you're an NGO worker, you're working for rural development,
Mm.
and you're addressing a gathering of all these SHG women. Do you need to speak in English? But you need to have public speaking skills, yes or no? Have you seen
Absolutely.
Cristiano Ronaldo? Terrible English speaker. Have you seen Mamta Banerjee? Oh, awful English. Have you seen Lalu Yadav speaking? Horrible English. But can you question their public speaking skills? Dare you not. Dare not I. Correct? Absolutely. Whether you like them as persons or politicians or players or not, your choice. I have no one to comment on that. But are they speakers of a tremendously energetic level? Yes, they are, without English at all, almost negligible English. So, no, English is not. Yes, it can come in handy. If you're addressing a gathering which is exclusively understanding English, yes, it can come in handy as an additional tool, but not a pre requirement as such. Going to the
Right.
next point, that is, are speakers always born? I would say yes, many are. Like some are good artists, some are good singers, some have good IQ, and they're born with it. But does that mean it is their exclusive right, or only they are allowed to have that? Right? We all can learn skills. We all can invest in learning skills. We may be born a little dumber than what we are today, but we went through education. We went through our own, ways of improving ourselves, and now we have a better IQ. Or maybe we
Right.
had a very bad handwriting, but someone told us or gave us ideas how to improve, and we improved. Same goes for speaking as well. It's a learnable skill, quote unquote. Write it down. Speaking is a learnable skill. Many could be born with it, that the ones who are not can learn it anytime. No matter whether you're 15 or 55 or 75, you can, provided you put in that effort and you get the right guidance, right? That's obviously the pre-requirement. Okay. Now
And
coming to the last
here,
point of the myths. Yeah, the last point of
yeah.
the myths was, is public speaking for common people? Well, are you a human? Do you have a family? Do you attend weddings? Do you travel in trains? Do you sometimes have to speak to people in your office, even if it's not a stage, right? Are you addressing a little gathering of people when in your sister's marriage? Are you speaking to people? Do you need to communicate effectively? You need public speaking. It's not for the politician. It's not just for Rahul Gandhi or Narendra Modi. It's for everyone who is living in a society. Unless you are in the caveman's age, you need public speaking.
Right. So
Right.
our viewers have been writing that communication is that can be learned. Of course, absolutely. Mr. Naval has written it, and Miss Priyanka has written that public speaking is all about charisma. Of course, I think the way, the demeanor you put in, where rightfully, wherever you are in the surrounding, that is how we have to take it further from there. And absolutely spoken correctly by Miss Upi Rani that English has been understood as an essential language to portray the ideas, to put it across, right? And I think Mr. Madhav already given this clarity that what should be the rightful approach for public speaking. It's not about the language, of course. Yes, of course, we have to look in with the very idea and nudge into the idea that what is appropriate according to the surroundings, according to the specific scenario being provided. Now is another thing which has been written by Mr. Naval. Communication skill is very important. Public speaking, rightfully said. Of course, we have mentioned it. So now the last question, or maybe yes, there are so many other myths which are still written that you should always aim to impress your audience with complex language. Please, Mr. Madhav, I think people have been
It's a
getting the hang of
lovely,
jargons, right, all the
yeah.
time.
So, Vaishali, I would say that's such a wonderful realization, or let's say reflection, that I don't know who said it. Priyanka, I guess. Yes,
Yes,
that we don't need complex language. Rather, complex language is a turn off. Most of the time, it's a turn off. You have to keep your language according to the audience. Like if 20 Shashi Tharoors are sitting in the audience, then you may have the audacity to speak in a complex language. But if commoners are sitting, you and I are sitting, we have to be more relatable. We have to be in a way that we are connecting with the audience and delivering the message instead of showing off our prowess of language. That's not even required. required. It's actually annoying. Yes, so complex language is definitely not encouraged unless it's an English literature conference happening in the Oxford University, right? Something like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think
Now,
this next question I would like to ask our audience before we end up the entire conversation for today, a session for today. Please jot down your famous or maybe one of your absolute favorite public speakers, if you know of any, if you've come across any. Instagram is of course full of so many public speakers, and I'm sure that people have a habit of scrolling the shots and the reels on Instagram and YouTube. Of course, if they can write down their favorite, like absolute favorite public speakers, that would be lovely to know so that we can also have a learning from there.
yes, yeah, of course, of course. I would like to
Right.
drop two value bombs, Vaishali, two names of two
Sure.
different books, right? One is
Please
Think
go ahead.
Faster. Yeah, one is Think Faster, Talk Smarter by Matt Abrahams. It's a smart book when it comes to how you can think faster and talk without a lot of difficulties. Think Faster, Talk Smarter by Matt Abrahams. Second is, the importance of how to start. Right? I'll go back to this book called The First Minute by Chris Fenning, Chris, Chris Fenning, Fenning. So, I don't know if you, how many of you remember this, that, a couple of years back when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister and George Bush was the President of the US, George Bush was in India for a nuclear deal. I mean, imagine the level of intensity of such a big deal. It's two greatest
Right.
nations on earth coming together. And how, how George Bush started his speech? It was April. It was already hot in Delhi. And he says,
Mm.
"Thank you for arranging the weather. It was a breezy, windy day. The weather was really good." So he starts off at a conference so important, like, "Thank you for arranging the weather." Look how a leader can completely transform the aura and the energy of the room just with a little joke. Correct? Even before addressing the people, this is what he does. So, The First Minute by Chris Fenning can be a helpful book in that regard. Okay. Now,
I think
moving on to a.
people
Yeah, yeah. Go
are
ahead.
already writing in the chat box, Mr. Madhav. I must need to address this, that they are
Sure.
simply loving your suggestions, there, right? So they are relating to you. Of course, I think this is how a public speaker should build the entire structure. The way he or she must speak, that should be how they are trying to learn the audience. Before, I think a public
Yes, yes.
speaker's major quality is to learn the audience, what they're trying to get in out of them, and what or how should be the approach to deal with the audiences. I think this is the best approach which
Yeah,
people can also follow it up. And
right.
there's so I think Miss Priyanka has written, thank you, Miss Supi Rani, Miss Seema Sharma, break the barriers. Okay, they have written good names also. If you can see
Yes.
Dhruv Rathi, Supi Rani, this is
Gujarati,
Sandeep Maheshwari.
Sandeep
I think
Maheshwari. Yeah,
Sandeep
yeah.
Maheshwari was the first person I think I might came across during my school days as a
Uh-huh,
public
uh-huh.
speaker.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
right.
Okay, moving on, Vaishali, moving on, like the concept of an audience. We've been talking about preparation and audience. So let's first understand the anatomy of an audience. Okay. Before that, one question for all of you, dear audience. Can you remember when was the last time you got bored by a speaker? As an audience, you got bored. Can you write a short comment like what was the occasion? Maybe an Amway multi-level marketer or someone like that who really got you bored, right? So if you have any such experience, please write about it. You were
I
listening to
would
a
love to
speaker.
write more. Even I would
Yeah.
love to write in the chat box. I wish I could be in the audience enjoying this entire
Yes, yes, right,
understanding of the entire session, right? So
right.
I think, yes,
Yeah.
please,
So you could write
audience
about.
need.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you could write about what the speaker did wrong, right? One short sentence about what you thought the speaker did wrong. You keep the comment section buzzing. Let me get into the session now. Okay. The session is now about audience and our preparation for every occasion. First, let's understand the anatomy of an audience. Who are you addressing? Please note down these words, right? Number one is the type of audience. What is the type? Are they old people? Are they young people? Right? What is the setting? Is it a birthday party or is it a seminar? Correct? What is the purpose of the audience? I'll give you an example. You are at a youth party, okay, and colleges and different colleges have come together. Most of the times these young boys and girls, they just want to have a new girlfriend or a new boyfriend or try their hand at something. Now, if you are giving some spiritual gyan there, do you think they're going to listen? Because their purpose is completely hijacked by their own, by their own intentions. So there, it's not going to work. You may be the best speaker on earth, but the audience is not interested in it because they have their own desires, they have their own agenda. So you don't have to blame yourself, but see what the audience is there for. What is their purpose? Is it gyan? Is it entertainment? Is it knowledge? Is it elevation? So depending on that. Now, coming to the IQ level, if you're speaking to a standard 7 audience about existentialism, it's not a good idea.
Sorry.
Yeah,
The
right?
very
Absolutely.
word, of course, bores me up, Mr. Madhav. I think I would stop there, right there, and then I would like to plug my ears with cotton, right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's be aware of what is the IQ level of the audience. I can tell you how we can do it. I'll give you an idea how to do it, but that's awareness, understanding the anatomy of the audience. Now coming to maturity level. Now, what is maturity really? Does it mean that old people are more mature and young people are not? But if we go by sheer statistics, yes, a 50-year-old man, a woman, is definitely more chances are that he or she is more mature than a 25-year-old man or woman. Not necessarily, but many times. So keeping an understanding of the maturity level of the audience is equally important. So if you're cracking a joke, which is more of a Gen Z's joke with all the Gen Z loaded terms, and you're speaking to millennials who are in their late 30s or so, they may not get it. So that's where you understand what the audience can really connect, including the language. Okay. Now,
Right.
also interest level. Are they really interested? If it's been a long day, let's say it's a long day of seminar, and you are supposed to give a vote of thanks at 5 p.m. How many of them are really interested in even listening to you? Right? So keep it short, spare
Right.
yourself the pain, spare them the pain. Just move out of it in 2 minutes. Correct? It's
Right.
no one's mistake. It's just the end of the day. Everyone is exhausted, including you, including them. So this is how you make an anatomical understanding of the audience. Yeah.
Right.
So did
Absolutely.
we get
I
any
think
answers to that? Did we get any answers to that?
yes,
That's
yes, absolutely. I think I am getting so many answers, but at the same time, while they're writing, of course, about their experiences, while Mr. Naveen has written, my bosses in meeting always makes me feel bored. Oh, well,
yes.
I think if my boss will somehow listen to these entire conversations, I might be scared about my next very day. So, okay, next will be I'll be taking from Miss Sufi Rani, when a person was making understand about sailing. Oh, well, the sailing, of course, and existential crisis, all these words are somehow fancy, but yes, absolutely boring. I would definitely agree to them at every extent. With this,
Right.
I would like to ask this question to our audience who had
Uh-huh.
been with us all this while, that since we are having this masterclass every Sunday, whom would you
Yeah.
like to, of course, see in the next masterclass? I would really
Yes.
have this, understanding from you. Whom are you somehow looking out for? And if by any chance you want to cover any specific topic, which I think you must be anticipating from our end, would be lovely to
Hmm.
know from your side. And
Correct.
yes, I have a long way to go. Has written, hi, good evening, sir and ma'am, sir. I want to know how to work on voice modulation. Well, of course, very nice. I think we have got a topic for next time, Mr. Madhav, isn't
Yes.
so?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Of
But
course, we
before,
can do it next time. But we'll
yeah,
also cover it today. Vocal identity. We can cover it
absolutely.
now. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So
Sure.
class lectures were of course boring, and I think majorly I think from this entire conversation for today, we have come to entire conclusion also, Mr. Madhav,
Mhm.
that the very rightful spirit should be, of course, whenever a public speaker has to go on the stage, one, the clarity should be in their mind what they have to present, of course, but before
Yes.
that they have to understand the entire masses whom they're going to address to, right? And of
True.
course strategy should be aligned in such a manner that they would
Hmm.
be able to speak their heart, because
That's.
all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. However, a
Mhm.
person can speak well if their tongue can deliver the message of their heart. Of course, John Ford has
Yes.
spoken it very well already in their books, of course, written also. So I think
Mhm.
if you speak your heart out, if you are somehow keeping the engaging and alive, enthusiasm alive, all of the learners, all of the masses will be somehow focused on what you are delivering. I know that span of focus is not much as a human, of course,
Yeah.
but at the same time, voice modulation, intonation, having a hang of good words, vocabulary, which is of course easy to understand, not the jargons, At the same time, if you could somehow have an understanding of the, the masses, what are the
Hmm.
basic topics which can somehow speak upon, and
Yes.
yes, the structure. So I think I should say this forward very proudly, that as an English Eye platform, we are delivering everything rightly. If by any
Right.
chance, yeah, the new learners have joined us today, they will be getting to know how the English Eye platform works. You can of course go through the English Eye app. We have an application which works from the Play Store. You can download it. It's very easy to somehow access from. Also, you
Right.
can somehow access the site from the browser. You can
Hmm.
see that English Eye platform has got so many tutors who are certified, and they are giving their experiential learning in the form of tutoring experiences. And yes, like Mr. Madhav had been so much humorous in the entire session, I would have to have that added into this very at the end of the session, that we are having so good mentors with us who are adding that pinch of salt and the humor in it, which always gives the entire session becoming very engaging and, of course, fruitful with good learning experiences. So,
Sure.
if by any chance you are going to somehow check our English Eye website, you'll be able to come across some good, I think, coupons too. Mr. Madhav, would you like to add in some, that they're of course getting some extra coupons, or maybe some or the other offers are there in the English Eye platform where they can have
Yeah.
a chance to learn English?
Yeah, of course, all that is already available. The best thing is that, of course, the website is there. Get in touch with our team. We have the number, we have the email over there. Just get in touch. We have absolutely amazing people working behind the scenes, behind the curtains, and we exist because they exist, right? There's a team working behind. Even right now, when I and Vaishali are having the limelight, the privilege is all ours, but the hard work is absolutely on their end, at their end. Okay, so
Absolutely.
Vaishali, let's continue with the session. We have a little more to go, so we can finish it off. Okay,
Sure, sure. Please
sure.
go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Madhav.
right. So we have to now understand the content, right? What is the content strategy, or what is the preparation style? First is understand the goal of it, right? Let's say you are about to present something somewhere. What is my goal? What is that I want to do about it? Now, here comes the human ego. All of us public speakers who want to speak in public are extremely narcissistic people to some extent. Let's just admit it. Let's just admit it. We want the limelight on ourselves. We want to be the one who wants to be remembered. Now, this makes for a huge fault on our part. We make it all about ourselves. It is about the value we are supposed to deliver to the audience. Okay, it's not really about us, it's just about how much value we can give to the other person. So structure your goal in that way first, that how much you can give to others, number one. Now coming to the structure, imagine there are three pillars: pillar A, B and C. First, let's talk about A pillar is basically your understanding of what the audience already knows. So, example, you want to teach public speaking to a certain audience. Now, you have a bit of an understanding that what is that the audience already knows. They know that, okay, there is something called voice modulation, something called body language. So, you make a list of that first. Number one, pillar A. Now, coming to pillar C, not B. Pillar C is about where you want to take them by the end of the session, whether it's a 2 day session or a 1 hour session, right? We need to understand that this is where they need to be. Now, in the pillar B, think about all those particular steps. If the audience knows about body language, what else can you add to it? Do they just know about, okay, stand straight and have a erect spine and chin up? What else can you add to that? What else can you add to voice modulation? We've been talking about voice modulation, right? If they know about what is it really about? Can you break it down? Tone, volume, adding emotion to words, right? These are some of the things you can add to it. This is how you structure a format, correct? I know I'm going a little fast, sorry about that. But this is the basic way or fundamental way of thinking in terms of the audience's requirement, not what you want to deliver, but rather what they will be benefited from. Okay. Now coming to language quality, I think we have covered that. Whenever it comes to language, keep it as simple and
True.
relatable as possible. Avoid high sounding words. Keep it for the time when you interview Shashi Tharoor. But before that, keep it as
Right.
simple as possible. Okay. Now we have to wrap up a little fast. I'm so sorry. So that's why I'm going really fast. It's not how it should have been, but we all got swayed away by the responses from the audience.
Right,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now,
The audience was very, very lovely. They are having an engaging
yes,
session. They're jotting down every time the moment you are somehow dropping the question. They're jotting down
yes,
and of course giving us the good responses. And I'm
right,
taking my eyes digging in there only. Yes, please go ahead,
right.
Mr. Madhav.
So I'll add one more, knowledge point that many of us are bothered by patchwords, fillers, our awkward silences, our
Mm,
arms and ers, and all those things which kind of bother us. Let us understand that these are our habitual patterns. We have been doing this for the last 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, whatever your age is. Now, slow down while you speak. Allow your brain to think while speaking. Instead of, adding those cushions. Fillers are nothing but cushions for your brain to add that extra 1 second to think something. That's what keeps on happening while you're speaking. So when
right.
you introduce pauses from your side, I'll give an example. When you introduce pauses, pause from your side, it becomes easy for your brain. So I introduced pauses by my own choice, by my own free will, instead of the pause coming awkwardly out of nowhere. Correct? Slowing down is a wonderful way of speaking so that you can avoid fillers. And it doesn't happen overnight. If you have a 20 years of practice of using fillers, it may take 2 3 months consciously if you're working on it. So be aware that it's a time taking process, but you can get rid of it. Okay. Now, I'm really going fast. I'm sorry about that. Now, coming
No,
finally
that's okay, I
to
think.
right. Now, coming finally to the how to deliver a talk really.
Yeah.
It's really about your power of imagination. The
Right.
imagination that allows you to think of the audience's requirement in the first place. Now, your
Right.
imagination also includes your own creativity. Can I add humor to it? Can I add few examples to it? Can I add a story hook to it? What is a story hook? When you talk about a personal experience or someone else's experience regarding the topic that you're delivering. People love examples. People love not just knowledge, but an a relatable example, a real life human story loaded with emotions. Correct?
Mhm.
That relatability is what will build your rapport with the audience. Now, this is something that you can take as the entire juice of the whole session. When you are relatable through stories and through examples, you become memorable. You become someone people would like to remember, right? So I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing that I wanted to deliver. I delivered with a hurry. Sorry about that, but yeah, thank you.
No, but Mr. Madhav, you have already answered so many questions, which I think I was getting in from the chat box in a YouTube live session which is going. So Mr. Naveen had already asked, how could I somehow make the effective way to fill out that filler portions, right? And at the
Mm,
same time, there are so many people who are somehow asking that how could I somehow portray the voice modulation, high, low, and pitch volumes while taking
yeah.
put some emotion. Miss Pranka had been asking this from quite a while, and I think I can
Mm,
see Miss Seema Sharma, who is somehow getting the suggestion for how to get the blueprint of learning English. So, of course,
right.
I think blueprint of learning English, all the things somehow had been able to come out to a very understanding that English Eye platform is there to help
Yeah.
up because the right guidance can help a person to somehow attain the targets which they have somehow dreamt, or maybe they have anticipated all this while and they've been somehow procrastinating, right? I
Right.
think this can be put forward in a very rightful manner that English Eye platform will be able to help you, and of course, the technical team and support will be there to help you and guide you well. If by any chance you want to somehow still jot down the points in the chat box, very well welcome to all the questions and queries. We'll be able to somehow pin down some comments also for today, which had been very lovely to keep the
Yeah.
entire spirit alive. So, with this, I would like to thank Mr. Madhavanand for giving
Thank you.
the best expertise in terms of portraying the very idea, the very rightful spirit to our
Mm,
today's session, who has been somehow a great speaker in his entire, the experiential lifetime, and also altogether he's put forward the experiences in today's session. So thank you so much, Mr. Madhav. You had been really lovely speaker in terms of and the humor, be it your experience and wisdom and knowledge, and altogether the way you have already crafted today's session in such a beautiful manner that everything was being cleared. Before the question came, you cleared that doubt. And of course, the question was already piled up, and you already delivering the doubts,
yeah.
giving the understanding of how can a person become a public speaker, a great public speaker. But again,
Wonderful.
likely said by I think Mr. Mark Twain, and also there are so many other speakers like Harvey Raman. They have spoken very well that if you want to somehow get a hang of the entire public speaking, you should know the right timed pause. Your right time pause should be very nice. Of course, that's what you have mentioned, that a pause of 6 seconds. And
Yeah.
people who had learned about having a good art, or let's say they have considered that public speaking is an art, there is somehow an understanding which we have dealt today. And I think very lovely session it had been. So with this, I would like to wrap today's session with the one thing that if I talk of public speaking is none other than portraying their thoughts and articulating in such a manner that, of course, comes to your heart. That would be lovely to have the start and, of course, the end of the entire session. So, thank you so much, Mr. Madhav. It was very
Thank you,
lovely to
Vaishali.
have
Thank you for
you.
being an amazing co-host and comparing to the best possible abilities of a human being. You did it wonderfully. Thank you for
Thanks
to
a
Team
lot.
English Yaari for being behind the curtains and helping both of us out in this entire journey. And thank you, lovely audience, for being an audience worth taking a session for. Right, that's what is our reward for both of us, for me and Vaishali, and for
Yes,
everyone at
yes,
Level English.
absolutely. I would like to thank each and everyone who had been giving out their engaging questions during this entire session. Because of you, we are able to help up with the queries and questions because it was one question from your end. Maybe someone wanted to ask this question, wasn't able to somehow write in a structured manner. You were able to write, of course, somehow cannot speak. So, of course, speaking is an art. We know that. So, how
Right.
can we somehow learn this art? EnglishYaari platform is here to help you and, of course, guide you how to master and articulate
Yeah.
well your thoughts with the very rightful spirits. You can also have an understanding from the browser, or maybe the application can help you. Either way, you
Yeah.
can reach out to us. With this, I would like to end the session for today, and we'll be coming over for next session on Sunday, 7:30 live, of course, EnglishYaari platform. We'll have an amazing set of audience again, but for the
Right.
audience who have showered with so much of love, they have poured so much of affection towards us and reaching out to Twids. Today's goal had been lovely and amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll meet you next time on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. live. Thanks so much. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Madhav. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.